How you doing, my friends? This is Cubby. You just entered the Crazy Ass Movie channel. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the articles that we see day in, day out appearing on the basis of cannabis and the ridiculousness of. And there's an article I found I'd like to share with you. Very, very interesting article. It's called Taxing Ganja by Pamela in the Cottage now. Police from 5 different units of the OPP busted a couple of middle-aged people with possession of 24 grams of weed and a pipe in Foots Bay last week. The street value of the pot was estimated to be about $240. I know! We're guessing that it cost a lot more than a couple of $100 for the officers from the Bracebridge detachment of the Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP West Parry Sound Crime Unit, the OPP Community Drug Action Team, the OPP Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau Drug Enforcement Unit, and the OPP K-9 to execute the search warrant. It's likely the search warrant alone costs more to apply for and obtain. There are levels of bureaucracy to go through, and we all know that the bureaucracy is costly at every level. We don't blame the police for wasting our money. It's not their fault. They don't choose which laws they're going to enforce. That's a job for the people making the laws. And it's time for them to give their heads a shake. Prohibition doesn't work. Never has, never will. 65% of the Canadians want marijuana laws changed. The earliest remains of human settlement show evidence of recreational drugs. Gorillas and apes have a taste for hallucinogens and stimulants. Primates want to go get high, and no government is going to stop them. Certainly there are social problems that go along with any abuse of any drug, whether it's a vodka or marijuana. Criminalizing the huge number of Canadians who want to smoke some herb doesn't help solve those problems. Making headway with drug abuse will only happen when it's treated as a health issue rather than a legal one. We recognize that not everyone will agree with us. We expect some people to disagree vehemently. But social policy aside, this is a financial issue. It's not just a moral issue. It's a matter of dollars and cents. Or is it common sense? As Muscago, Algonquin Healthcare tells us, it's a fairy tale to imagine that we will have the same level of healthcare services at our hospitals with aging population, as the numbers of people requiring help from food banks rapidly increase, as our municipality struggles to make do with significantly less funds from the province, and as our police services are straining at the seams, in part because they're dealing with more and more people with mental health issues. Something's got to give. Here's a suggestion. Stop wasting billions of dollars trying to enforce unenforceable and inconsistent laws. Face the reality that otherwise law-abiding taxpayers are going to smoke pot and turn that money into money-making industry for each province. If the LCBO can bring $1.2 billion each and every year into the province's coffers while it urges us to drink responsibly, why can't Marijuana Control Board of Ontario encourage adults to do the same with weed? And instead of wasting fortunes of law enforcement and criminalizing 1.2 million Canadians, why don't we control the substances and use the profits to strengthen our approach to health issues? For years, we've been told that Canada can't make the leap toward legalization because of the pressure of the U.S. Well, as the American states obviously have taken a lead toward a sane approach, it's time for Canada to follow suit. We can't afford to do anything else. Wonderful article. I appreciate it. And I'd like to add the aspect of a lot of people don't understand the reason why it is illegal. It is not illegal because the United States or Canada is concerned about the health of your children or the addiction level that might come with it or the difficulties that it may bring to our society. What they're concerned about and what you truly will find is when you do some research and learn of a gentleman called Rick Simpson. For the goodness of his heart, for 4 years on his land, which they raided him 3 times, and he was charged twice with a minimum charge slap on the wrist where normally anybody would have gone to jail for a very long time. They were trying to hide the truth because he was healing people, curing them from their deathbeds of cancer. Diseases were recessing, going away. People were getting healthier and healthier, better. People were no longer needing the prescription pills. People were no longer needing the doctors and the surgeries in a lot of cases. Healing at tremendous and wonderful, astounding rates. And he did this all free. And he tried to contact Canada. And he contacted the healthcare of Canada. And he contacted our provincial and federal political people. And he contacted the RCMP and the police and David Suzuki and every aspect that he tried, and nobody would listen. That he had been involved for over 4 years with numerous, now over the thousands across the world. It hasn't stopped, it hasn't gone away, it's a guarantee. For one example, the way a doctor had described the understanding of how it attacks your cancer, you first have to, it was a chemist who would actually explain this, and I really enjoyed it. I really appreciated the explanation, and I'll share it with you. He stated that we're creating cancer cells every day, you and I, all the time. The cancer cells that are created create receptors upon their cells, which are like blocked, and our own personal chemical created called the anandamide, which is one of our cannabinoids, one of our many cannabinoids that our own bodies produce. It connects as a receptor onto the cancer cell. It gives off whatever signal that it does, and ceramide is produced. The ceramide attacks and kills the mitochondria, which is the food source for the cancer cell, and no longer can it feed, so it starves itself and dies. What's amazing about the cannabis plant is the THC molecule is identical to the anandamide chemical that we already produce within our body, like a key in a lock. And the way this chemist described on producing and using and making it and saving himself from, given months to live from a very severe prostate cancer, eating himself away from the inside. And he did this, and he cured his cancer. By introducing the oil into your system, it attacks those cancer cells in the same fashion, attaching themselves to the receptors and doing what the anandamide is shortened on. When you and I get sick, our body's not available, cannot produce the anandamide chemical as needed. It gets a little behind. The tumors grow, the cancers take off. This is where this chemical, the THC molecule, one of the many cannabinoids in this plant, does this wonderful job. This is just one little tiny showing sign. It's not just about cancers. It has an incredible anti-inflammatory responsibility. Diabetes, for example, pancreas is an inflammation. A lot of diseases are inflammation-based. Not only topically does it kill skin cancers or inflammation aspects, but internally. It's an antibacteria. It kills, you do not need penicillin. I've been with this for 4 years. I've had both my hands covered in 2nd and 3rd degree burns. And there's nothing to show for that. This is the kind of thing that exists. This is the kind of thing that happens when you see and you start to be introduced. And this is why it's illegal. And this is why many people, all of the people, the common sense people who are seeing this now, the logical people, including the people who are activists for the cannabis for years, have been making the outward claim and stating this. But the truth be known, it would destroy and devastate financially their pharmaceutical, their pharmacology, the pills that they sell to you. The doctors would be needed less and less. Sure, they'd still be able to fix a dislocated severe pinky that even protruded out of the skin of my pinky. But do I need to go back to it? No, it works perfectly. As a matter of fact, I got a perfect use of it at, well, I videotaped the whole thing actually. I'll show you some parts.
Okay, so anyway, went to run, fell forward, really freak accident, happened very fast. I just wanted to show my hand here as a recording. So for 1 week straight now, I didn't take any penicillin or anything like that. I refused to take any of the needles they had asked. They said I needed a tetanus and a diphtheria shot. The penicillin was demanded, so were the shots, that it was very required by the doctor that I take. It's in my best interest and whatnot. So anyway, I used the cannabis. I used it with a mixture of extra virgin olive oil, and I've been putting it on topically, as well as I've been eating and consuming what I can of. Well, this is my collection from my bong when I clean it out and it dries out, and I've been eating pieces of this. I also had been able to be lucky enough to get a hold of a little bit, not much, but of leaf material. I've been putting it in my meals. So, no buds or anything like that, but just leaf material that people give me that were pretty fresh, like still picked fresh. So, anyway, this is my hand. Get it towards the light so we can get a good look at it. That's the stitches, that's where the bone protruded. It was a severe dislocation is what had happened. 3 fingers went above the step, the pinky hit it dead on as I fell forward and it popped. And what happened is just the knuckle and everything, the bone protruded and that extended through the skin, and then whatever, it didn't continue to, it just did it very quickly, ripped it from the inside out. And so they were very disturbed by my talking about cannabis and me telling them and that, and I'm sure they expected huge infections all over my hands. So as you can see, and the extendability, look at how much in 1 week, how much I can already go down. And they told me that I would have to see a specialist. So it's been 2 weeks and 1 day. About 3 days ago, I removed the stitches, maybe 4 days ago. Very nicely healed, as you can see. Okay, this is the one that's got the problem, like the dislocation, and I'll show you how far I can already curl it in. I'm starting to move the tip in. Normally it takes 3 months to a year for physical therapy to get this finger to come back in. From last week, not even close. I think it was up here or something. So the flexibility is coming back. So I wanted to do another documentary. This is the 3rd week. I did this in the early mornings, and we're actually at about lunchtime now. So I'll show you in 3 weeks how far I've been able to extend it, knowing that the average severity of dislocation like mine takes anywhere from 3 months to a year of physical therapy. And I'm already pretty close in. You can see it's going to take a little bit more to finally get it in. You can see the bending going in. I can touch it there, but I can't get it tight yet. And it's coming. It's coming. And I'd say give it another few weeks. That'll be really good. I do, my friends. This is the 4th week of a documentary of my dislocated pinky. It's doing pretty good. It's actually 4 weeks, 2 hours and a little bit since the accident happened. And this is how, so far, the available, I guess you would call it, how far in I could squeeze it now. I don't know if you can see. Take a look and see how far in I can make my fists. You can see it's almost there. It's like 99% now. And a really tight fist I can make, and it doesn't ache as much. It's a lot, like there's no pain at all, but when I do extend it like that tight, you know, you can feel a little bit of pain, and then it goes away after a few seconds and that. But I'm finding that stretchability is much easier to do that now. And this is the 6th week, in case I didn't just mention it. How you doing, my friends? Cubby. I just wanted to do a last update on my pinky. I mean, it works perfectly now. I feel like I got the full, like it's tight, very, very little pain or any, it's mostly all gone now. Like, out of the 100%, I'd say there's 5% left of discomfort when you extend it and that.
Anyway, some of the things that I've been trying to share with people is the legalization won't happen because they don't want you to be able to heal it yourself. They need you to be always not self-sustaining, not independent. They need you to have a handout, to always, even to the doctors, to the pharmacy. They don't want you to take care of yourself or be able to not have to ever go to the doctors for years on end. They want you there every day. It's a financial aspect. And it is the truth, and I know that now. After 5 years of being involved with this plant and understanding the healing rate that it has done to me with my irritable bowel syndrome and how I have come back from 5 years, when prior to that for 10 years, I progressively got worse and worse and worse. Non-stop did I get sicker and sicker. I was sitting and finishing full novels on the can. Hemorrhoids, explosion, internal, outward. Sick as a dog. The toxicity going right back into me where I had no energy. I was obese, 300 pounds. And this medicine took me back from all of that 5 years later. God bless each and every one of you and all those your heart touches.